This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News. I wanted to share with you a couple of the thoughts from Mobile Beat Las Vegas. Last week, of course, we were in Las Vegas for their 19th annual show, which they had hashtagged MBLV15 because it was 2015. But the 19th show, getting prepared for next year's Big 20th show. But I wanted to give you some thoughts on that, to kind of give you an update, what have you, if you weren't there. First off, you've probably heard the buzz online that this year's seminar room was incredible. And it was really fabulous. The sound in the room was spectacular. It was one large set room with the seating, you had the chairs. It was set up in classrooms. So you had chairs and tables so people could actually have their laptop in front to take notes, or if they were, there was room to write. You weren't having to do the holding your notes, and you had room to spread out. And of course there was theater style, which is just the chairs in back where I was sitting, because that's kind of the way I am in back, and I duck out a lot because of different things. So the room, sound great. The lighting from Chauvet DJ was fabulous. I really enjoyed that. The stage, one of the big things I enjoyed about the stage this year is, well, first off, it was a little bit higher than it was about a 3-foot high stage, a few steps to get up to it, which allowed those of us in back to be able to see the stage well. Then they had some front lighting on, so you could actually, they were illuminated similar to what I've got in here. If I wouldn't have my lighting on, I would basically be in the dark. So the lighting on the stage was great. The one part I wish I would have seen from the show this year in the seminar room, my only complaint is I would have loved to have seen a live camera with the presenters up on the screens. They didn't have that this year, and of course I've done that with some of our shows, and it's tough to do, to have a live camera and to make sure that there isn't any latency and things with it, and especially when you're doing with a large room like that, because you've got to have wiring and do it for different things, or doing it wireless, and there's issues with that. But that would be something I'm hoping that they will look at adding for next year, because at the time when Carr Hagerman and Penn Jillette were up on stage, they were both sitting in chairs talking to each other. It was kind of like a couple of old buds getting together and talking, and all they needed was the beer. But the guys were up there talking, and to have their facial expressions on the screens, having a front camera and two side cameras, a car camera, a pen camera, and a would have been just excellent, and it would have helped to tell the story just a little bit nicer. So seminar room was great, but there's a couple of things I'm hoping that when it comes to the video and such, they'll do. In that room, of course, they had Jason Jani doing the DJ work between sessions, so he's pumping the crowd up and such. Now, I'm a little bit older, and I don't like to be around the super loud noise, and that was probably something that it was a little louder than I would have liked to. But again, I was by the back wall most of the time, so you've got all that sound hitting the back wall and coming back. Sounded fabulous. It's just, it was a little more difficult for me as someone who is suffered from some hearing loss already because of years of loud music. It's a little tougher for me to communicate with people in the back room and to hear them, but again, I'm at a DJ convention, and I don't know if you're trading the getting people pumped up between sessions and getting them fired up and ready to roll with it's a tough call. I don't know exactly what's the right answer here, but for me, I know it was a little tough to communicate with people between sessions, so we found ourselves stepping out into the hallway to talk between sessions and then hustling back in. But overall, the seminar room, I'd give that, that was definitely a B+, B+, A-. The seminars, they had some great content in the seminars. Now, some people have talked about it not having as much content as they had in the past. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, they had a nice level of motivational type seminars. Carr Hagerman would be probably following that line. Brian Dodge was certainly following that line. Mark Farrell was following that type of a thing. And some of the other speakers were giving some content, but I think is really kind of more of that motivating you to grow your business. And there wasn't much of and here's the 5 steps to grow your business. There was a little of that. But really, you were getting more nuggets that you had to, and I would call it mining for this information, where they're presenting and they're talking about things, and if you listen and try to, you'll extract some of that information and to be able to apply it to your business. It wasn't something that they weren't spoon-feeding, and I would prefer not to be spoon-fed, truthfully, because sometimes when I have to be thinking, and they're talking about, like in Penn's case, he's talking about some important things to him and how he was able to use some things and what he finds important when he's creating his performances. Now, he didn't really tell us, this is what you should do. He was telling it from his perspective. And many of the people I talked to that listened to that, some got it, some didn't. Some found that to be an incredible piece of information and would apply that to some point of our lives. Some people went right over top. So It wasn't the heavy on how to do it. It wasn't the 5 steps to a better tomorrow kind of a thing, but there was still information there. I think one other reason why some people felt that the information was a little light is that there was one track. Now, from my perspective, as someone who's put on shows and attended a lot of shows, I enjoy the one track because it's like a sense of family, that we're all here, we're all experiencing the same thing, and that way when we go out that door, that we're going to be able to talk about a shared experience. What did you think about Penn Jillette? What did I think? Oh, here's what we thought. Now, if I was sitting and watching Penn Jillette and my friend was over here watching someone else, now, well, yeah, I could tell him about Penn Jillette and he could tell me about that, but it's not the same. So I'm a fan of the one room. But that also means then that the content, if there's a session that's not a hit for you, say if there's a bar mitzvah session going on, and if I'm not a bar mitzvah DJ, then that just was a complete miss for me. And of course, then I'm not going to feel that I'm getting my money's worth from this because there was a session that didn't fit me. That happened with some people. Another thing it did with this year's show is they made it so that the sessions and the exhibit hall didn't overlap, which I like that idea an awful lot because we were able to, as an exhibitor, I was able to go and I could actually go and sit and attend some of the seminars, which typically I can't do too often. So I really enjoyed that, and it was neat from the standpoint that the people could go and they could have their educational time. Then they could go hit the exhibit hall, and if they hit it for an hour or two, and then they wanted to go out and do something and get an early meal so they could catch an evening party, that opportunity was there. I think at these shows you're seeing so many people that are getting and meeting with friends and meeting with little groups and going here and going there that this might become a trend more in the industry as people are needing to have more time. Yes, you're going to have your seminar time, and it'll probably be in the morning at most shows. The afternoon will be a little bit of exhibit time, and then there's going to be that break because people go out to eat. They'll go to a steakhouse, or they'll go to seafood to do a buffet, or do this or do that or what have you, or go to McDonald's like I kind of did. But anyway, they'll go somewhere. And they'll do these things, and it takes time. And either the time comes from exhibitor time or the time comes from the party time. I think that's going to be kind of a trend, that you'll have those shorter times. So really, again, seminars, quality of seminars, I would give the seminars probably about a B. There's good content there. Could they have had better speakers? Well, yes, of course. There's always, but you're also talking about financial budgets and how to make this. There were some good people giving good information, but depending upon where you are in your career, I would say that some people would have given it anywhere from a D to a probably about a B. And I'm, again, because I was able to take a lot of information from some of the speakers and be able to extract and apply and mine that information, for me, it was a very quality time. So going down into the exhibit hall, which is a big part for a lot of us. As an exhibitor, of course, it's a big part, but I'm not going to look at it from the exhibitor standpoint. But the exhibit hall itself this year, they had quite a nice size exhibit hall. You had some very large displays from Chauvet DJ, American DJ, Blizzard Lighting, Odyssey cases. They all had just wonderful displays. The room was a full exhibit hall. NLFX Pro in the back had a wonderful display. Had the Electro Voice speakers, which are what the speakers, same speakers were being used in the seminar room. Just a great display. Carbon Audio was there with a nice display of some of their gear. Just a lot of companies, and I don't have time to mention them all. The Bat Boommobile or whatever it was a kind of a car that was set up as a DJ vehicle where you could DJ from the front, DJ from the back. Was cool, but between that car and a couple of other booths in the area, it was very, very loud this year. DJ convention exhibit halls are always loud, but there were times where I'm standing 100 and some feet away from the kind of the epicenter of the sound, and we could not hear as we were yelling back and forth. A couple of people who were in the booth with me were hoarse after about 3 hours of trying to communicate. And we're not communicating very much. We're, hey, would you like a free copy of the paper? Yeah, that's not saying much. But we had to say it so loud and really blare to try to get over top to some of the noise. So that was a disappointment on day one. Mobile Beat changed and kind of talked to some people, so day two was better. But it was still kind of a disappointment that the shows do get that loud, and I'm not just their show. I've been to many of them, and a lot of them get very, very loud. That's just kind of a little thing I'm not excited about, not happy about, but it is what it is. Nightlife activities at the show. There were some really cool events going on. A lot of people went to the Havana room at the Tropicana, which is where next year's show will be. Beautiful room, and it was a very intimate setting. There were about 200 and some DJs there. So they had roughly about a third the crowd made it down to that event. But they got to see DJ Jazzy Jeff and Sir Mix-a-Lot, along with Jason Janai. So there were three performing up there. everyone that I talked to with that was very impressed with not only the hotel and the room and such, but also with the performers. They did put on a top-notch show, and the sound quality was good, and everything looked good, and it was just really done well. There have been some years where the sound has been really poor, or the room was set up so weird that it's like, really? What? And again, not at just this show. I mean, I've been to numerous shows. So it was nice to see the evening party at the Havana was good. The DJ takeover that went on at the Riv was also something that people had a great time with, and it sounded like that went over very well. Unfortunately, during that particular time, I had a different event that I was attending with some of our Disc Jockey News people. The evening nightlife at the Disc Jockey conferences, it isn't attended by everyone. And as these things progress, you're going to find fewer people going to the evening nightlife because they have friends that are meeting up. There were groups of 10 going to go eat here, and 5 going here, and 2 and 3, whatever. It's really difficult to gauge the success of a show on your evening events because it isn't like it was in the early years where everyone was so excited to go into the evening party because we might learn a new trick. Well, some of those tricks we've seen online, so you're not getting the same level. They were nice evening events, but again, they're just the priority or the emphasis isn't there like it used to be. So in conclusion, I think the crew at Mobile Beat this year really stepped up the game. They took it to a level higher. There's still room to improve, and I'm sure that they're going to be looking at a lot of the feedback and looking at a lot of the things, and they're going to strive to improve because they took a step. And you're going to want to see them take another step and continue that progression, because if you don't, then a lot of us are going to be kind of disappointed because we were teased this year with a really cool event. So, but I'm really looking forward to next year, as I look forward to pretty much every DJ conference, because for those of us who've been in the industry for a while, it's kind of like a family reunion. And I've talked about this before in different videos on the Disc Jockey News, where we can go and see people we don't see every day and see every week, see every month. They only see them 3-4 times a year, and we see them at conventions. That's really the important part of any convention, is that time to get together and network and talk and really give that face-to-face opportunity. So there's a few other things in some of the videos that we've already shot, and I'm going to put those links. I'll get those, and we'll have those down below. They announced their Mobile Beat Hall of Fame inductee there. That was kind of cool. And I think the guy who won this year is a pretty cool guy. You'll have to check that out, and we'll have the link down below. And we also have a little bit of a walk around the exhibit hall so you can see the different vendors, and we'll have that link down below also so you can check that out. So some great stuff for Mobile Beat 2015, Mobile Beat 19. Next year's at the Tropicana for the 20th year of the show and the 25th year of the magazine. So it's going to be a big year, and we're kind of looking forward to seeing how they can up the game one more time. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News.